This is Delhi. Please stand by for our next program. This is All India Radio. Welcome tomorrow. All India Radio in collaboration with Vigyan Prasar presents the science serial Welcome Tomorrow based on myriad facets of artificial intelligence. Time now to listen to 14th episode. In this episode, we present a discussion on the series on different aspects of artificial intelligence. The participants are Dr. Nakul Parasar, Director Vigyan Prasar, Dr. Beerendra Tyagi, Senior Scientist Vigyan Prasar, and Shri Sharma, Doctoral Researcher IIT Delhi. Manoj Mainkar is moderating the discussion.
Hello listeners, and a big welcome to all of you in this special interactive episode of our regular science serial Welcome Tomorrow. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to welcome Dr. Nakul Parasar, Director Vigyan Prasar, Dr. B.K. Tyagi, again from Vigyan Prasar, and Chandramani Sharma ji, Senior Researcher in the field of Artificial Intelligence and its applications in healthcare at IIT Delhi. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio. Let us hope that our listeners benefit from this brief interaction that we are going to have.
Thank you.
Before we move on to the nitty-gritties of the science serial Welcome Tomorrow, Dr. Parasar, I would like to ask you, every organization in India is now celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and with a slew of programs lined up. So I would like to ask you, what are Vigyan Prasar's plans in this context?
Thank you so much, Manoj. Vigyan Prasar, as we all know, is an autonomous organization of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and has been mandated to work in the area of science communication, popularization and its extension for past 32 years of its existence. And now that we are entering into the 75th year of independence, a matter of pride and honor for all of us, it is indeed something that Vigyan Prasar, for that matter, has been entrusted with a number of programs, whether it is from the Department of Science and Technology or whether it is from a number of other organizations that we are working. We've all known a lot of revolutionaries in our country and we know all about them. But have you ever wondered about the science revolutionaries that laid their lives, that laid their esteem, that made immense contributions which have not been highlighted?
And sacrifices.
And sacrifices. And that's why their sacrifices laid the basis of what we call the science and technology of today. So we remember all those luminaries in the area of science and technology from our independence period. And that is what we've called it as Science and Indian Independence Movement, a program that will go on for a year from 15th of August 2021 to the 15th of August 2022, in which we plan to have number of small, medium and long-term films, movies about all these people. We'll have 2 mega conferences, one for science communicators and one for science teachers, that talks about all these unsung heroes of science and technology during the Indian independence period. The story doesn't end here. We also intend to bring out monthly magazines and journals highlighting their sacrifices, contributions in various languages. And for that matter, we've already gotten started with Vigyan Katha in Bengali, Sandhan in Assamese, Arevel Palagai in Tamil, Kutuhali in Kannada, Vigyanvani in Telugu, Vigyan Ratnakar in Maithili, Tajassus in Urdu and much more.
Will you be focusing only on individual science revolutionaries, so to say, or even institutions that build up the nation?
Obviously, since the topic that we have thought of is science and Indian independence, and when we talk about this, it not only confines to scientists or individuals, but also to movements, also to institutions, also to policies and plannings that had happened during that period of time. It's a huge repository of resources that is available with all of us, but that needs to be brought to the masses, and that is what Vigyan Prasar is for. As I said, there's much beyond this. We'll have 75 webinars that will talk about not only of the period before independence but after independence as well, and also glorify whatever we've done in past so many years. Also, there are a number of coffee table books that we intend to bring out. One such an interesting book is about 75 women scientists.
Oh,
That talks,
wonderful.
right. And also we're also trying to bring out another coffee table book that talks about 75 scientists that are under the age of 50. It's a Herculean task because we have so many scientists. Choosing 75 out of them is indeed a tough task, and we're all working to it. And I guess for that, if we could use artificial intelligence.
Yeah. In addition to that, there is something more like beyond the individual scientists and scientific institutions. We have highlighting even those aspects which help in India to build up the scientific culture, because it was for the first time when the India was experiencing that the big famine and there was no voice of India into the British Parliament. So it was Dadabhai Naroji who put all facts together in a scientific way and produced before the Parliament. And then it was a realization in the British Parliament that yes, India needed help, because it was like 4,000 ton of rice was transported to Britain, and a country who's producing that much of the grain, how it can starve. It was this realization put up in a scientific way, that report on the British Parliament table, then only the attention was drawn. So it was not only science and scientific institution, but the new scientific methodology which were used in all sphere of life, whether it was a social science or political science, everywhere. So we are trying to bring out that as a scientific culture which was promoted by certain category of people through science popularization or scientific writing. All that we are including in that program.
Dr. Parasar and Dr. Tyagi, that was a fantastic bird's eye view on, how the roots of scientific temper developed in the country
Yeah.
and ultimately contributed in India's independence as well. Coming back to our program, Welcome Tomorrow, based on artificial intelligence, let me be very honest, my natural intelligence fails me right now because of the long gap that we've had.
Yeah.
On account of pandemic, various reasons. I would like Dr. Tyagi to throw light on how we began, what all we covered till now in this serial, Welcome Tomorrow.
First of all, we would like to apologize from to our listeners that the new episodes could not be broadcast because of this corona pandemic. But now again, we are before you with all the new episodes from the today itself. And this AI is, as you know, it's pervasive in all our life aspect now. This is a base paper which was circulated by this Niti Aayog, and there were certain core area were identified, including this medical, then the agriculture, education, smart city, transportation, etc. I think there's a 5 or 6. So how AI could be used to make our life more comfortable, simpler, hassle free. So, for the success of using that AI in all aspect of life, it is necessary for all our the citizen of the country that they should have a basic understanding of this AI, because without their support, we cannot run a system which is based on AI. So it's more, this program is more on understanding the science of AI and which are the potential area where it can be used in future, and what will be the future of the human society as a whole. I'm not talking about India, but as a whole, when the more and more dependent on AI will be there. So this all aspect we are covering in this 52 episode radio serial.
And how has the response of the target audience?
I think so far, I think 13 or 14 episodes were broadcast, and out of that, I think for this particular program we have received a lot of letters. You can see these are the emails which we have received, and we have selected few names which we'll announce towards the end of the program. But today I think we have Dr. Chandramani Sharma before us. So he is an expert. So let him say that the first-hand experience should come from how, if for a commoner man, how we can define AI. And
let me ask a question as a common man. On way to the studio, it was raining heavily, and Delhi streets were waterlogged, and at the same place where they've been waterlogging for the last 25 years. So I want to know, Chandramani ji, can artificial intelligence be used as a tool to design a particular drainage system or sewage system or something that I drive a vehicle that is not very tall, it doesn't have much ground clearance. So people like me who don't want to get stalled on way to office, what can be done? What can artificial intelligence do?
Yeah, thank you, Manojji. So artificial intelligence is basically kind of mimicking the behavior of an individual. So creating an artificial brain or kind of decision making capability. So let me make a clear distinction between two things: coding and artificial intelligence. So what is the basic difference?
Are they connected with each other?
Slightly connected, but they are more sort of distinct things. So when we talk about coding or kind of logic, so logic is something, suppose if you want to write a program to find the sum of 10 numbers, so there is a predefined logic behind that, or you want to just calculate the factorial or square root of a given number. But when you want to create a program that can distinguish what is a cat and what is a dog, so there is no logic. So artificial intelligence is basically relates to that, something for which you cannot define a logic. So maybe speech recognition, computer vision, or the pattern recognition. So these are the capabilities that human beings have, but how they have, what is the mathematical interpretation behind that, that cannot be provided at this moment. So artificial intelligence is basically trying to create a mechanism, and machine learning is one of them. So machine learning is basically making the machines learn. So it happens in the same way as the human beings learn. The learning of a human being is either supervised or unsupervised. Some of the things we learn inside a school in a supervised manner, and some of the experiences of life come through unsupervised learning. So in the same way, we train the machines, like if you want to make a system to recognize certain patterns, maybe in the field of images, maybe the data may be video, or it may be some audio clip. So the system can learn, but the system will learn as the human beings learn. You cannot write the logic that how the learning is happening. Definitely there are algorithms that can guide it, and that is the core crux of artificial intelligence, that you do not have a predefined logic. Some of the things which are extensively used in the field of artificial intelligence are still considered as black box. So magic is happening, you are providing input, you are getting output, you are getting the task done, but how it is happening, that is not clear. And the next goal in artificial intelligence is to make it explainable. How the things are happening is to be explained, but still research is happening that how to make the artificial intelligence explainable. Suppose system that can recognize the different type of data, like it may be speech recognition or image classification, video classification, but how it is happening, the next thing is to make it explainable. And
no, but drains are my favorite
subject.
subject.
And so definitely across the globe, the people are working on this concept of smart cities, smart houses, and smart of everything. If we talk about India, so what is the basic problem here, that we implement the solutions before understanding the problem. And in my opinion, the problem well understood is half solved. So there are different solutions, ready-made solutions existing, and we try to implement that. And that is happening in all the fields, whether it is agriculture, it is smart cities or smart homes, it is healthcare or transportation or any walk of life. So we need to make a tailor-made, we need to understand that what are the problems behind waterlogging in Delhi or in a specific city. So there may be a specific data for that, and then we need to customize the solutions, like whether we should improve our drainage system, because artificial intelligence or IT, those are not basically the enablers, those are just the enablers. They can support you. You need to create some domain, and that can just assist it. It is not a magic that ultimately the rain drop is there and it will be automatically capture the drop midway and it will take it to the river Yamuna. So
coming to your core area of expertise, applications of artificial intelligence in healthcare. Do tell all three of us about it.
Since we have been, facing this pandemic of COVID-19 for almost last 2 years, and we have witnessed the healthcare scenario and how much we need and what is available on the ground. So as we all know that there is a huge infrastructure kind of deficit, what is needed and what is available, whether it is in terms of registered healthcare practitioners available, number of hospitals, primary or whatever level are they, and the people have to travel to 10 to 12 kilometers to access a primary center if you talk about rural India. And but definitely ICT and AI can help solve this problem if it is applied in the right way. So I've been exploring this field of AI for almost last 1 decade. I started my career on a sponsored UGC project where I first wrote my computer vision program. So that was a visual surveillance system that I created, and for past few years I've been into this healthcare domain and working to solve the problem of, or contribute to solve the problem of mental health care in low resource settings in rural areas. So definitely in healthcare we can have tele consultation, we can have the diagnosis of the diseases, like if you have x-ray and there is no expert to kind of provide that what can be the diagnosis or prognosis of a particular disease. So artificial intelligence can do that, and like for COVID, if you have chest x-ray, so it can distinguish whether it is pneumonia or it is COVID-19 or it is a normal case, and based on that we can make a pipeline in the system, like what is the severity of the disease, what is the prognosis, whether the person is going to have the need of hospitalization or ventilation, and how to navigate that data further. So there are immense applications of artificial intelligence and AI, whether it is digital twin technology where a person sitting at a doctor sitting at thousands of miles can perform surgery. So the things are getting precise and the things are getting remote, and I see that there will be lot many applications emerging from this particular domain of artificial intelligence in healthcare.
Dr. Tyagi, how can we leverage his experience with our program, especially questions that listeners ask?
Generally that's why I was coming to that. I think this I can ask this question to both of you, Nakulji and Chandramaniji. Few days back there was a news that the face recognition, through IT the device could not make a distinction between a fox and wolf. They were considering the whole issue, they were saying as an evidence coming out through AI could be used in a legal system, but they put on hold on this basis. So how in future you think we can use even in judiciary also this the use of AI? You are talking about medical science, okay?
Yes.
But AI we are trying to it's trying to penetrate all aspect of our life. But if this kind of mistakes will occur, how we can rectify it, or as a future of AI in other aspects of life beside the medical, what do you see as a future of AI?
Artificial intelligence, for that matter, as what Chandramaniji rightly said, is something that we all know. Machines are there to assist us. It's about enabling the machines, making them much more, empowering them to imitate, to mimic a human being. So, and for that matter, it's very important to use whatever possible means and technologies that we can to do so. And the more you train a machine, the more you train a system, the more you will get closer to your desired results. We all know machines work on a binary principle, and it's to for that matter, pattern recognition happens to be the very first step where this could have been easily done. But depending on the sources of information that you're looking at, if the source that you're looking at is a disparate source, it's not a continuous source, then it becomes very difficult to apply pattern recognition, because the Boolean fails over there. Because there's a slight deviation from a pattern, the entire system goes for a toss. As a result, it becomes very important to train as much as possible. And for that matter, we all know that machines, as I said, are very binary in their operations. As a result, statistical techniques are very important. So, for example, you talked about the judiciary system. So, for any judiciary system, any court case that might come your way, right, might not be same from the one that was there earlier. You could form a pattern to an extent, but when it gets to a point where you have a civil case and a criminal case, and then you have different kinds of courts and you have different kinds of judges writing the judgments, you find a great difference in all of them. As a result, what happens is the whole system, the whole set of source of information that you are going to analyze, to work upon and get results, becomes very disparate in nature. So how do you deal with it? So all you do is that you start creating more and more use cases. You start creating more and more rules for it, right? The basic principle of a common programming is if then else. So you keep writing all these if then else's kind. I mean, this is to make a common man understand, that artificial intelligence might not be something which is Greek to everybody, but it's all about a person of Chandramaniji's caliber and capability associated with the domain expert, and these two become a deadly combination in creating systems which in our earlier days used to be called expert systems. Over a period of time, we have seen how things have moved from an expert system, have become an artificial intelligence. And for that matter, as he rightly said when he was talking about the drains, right? It was all about how IoT has come into place, how Internet of Things have come into place, how, from places where you can put sensors to it, which can transmit information to your systems, and where you have a set of rules that train the machine, understand, and give you your desired results. So it's an interesting and a very overwhelming kind of an area. You think of anything while we are sitting here talking about what you're going to predict the next moment, I'm sure in a decade or so would be there with us, because by the time we would have so many cases that would have been trained. Go ahead.
I think sometime it's my curiosity in a way. That means a time will come when the machine will surpasses the human intelligence in a way, what we call it as a singularity. Is it possible?
I would leave Chandramaniji to answer that.
Coming to the first question, the biases of artificial intelligence, and that is the real thing and the limitation over the intelligence system. So these AI-based systems work on data, and data comes from the real world. And whatever data is available, that is biased. Even if take the images to train a face detection system, and you are needing suppose male faces and female faces, so definitely you will have a bias. So you'll get more male faces and you will get less female faces. So if it is the scenario, so automatically the trained system will get inclined towards precise detection of male faces, and sometimes will perform poorly to detect the female faces. And that happens in all the scenarios, whether it is data coming from any source. If there are biases in the real world, so definitely the trained systems using that data will be biased. And that is a different direction that how to eliminate, how to tackle, how to mitigate this particular risk of biasness. Because even one research was conducted in US that the face detection systems were more biased towards a specific ethnic group. So they were not, properly trained, because the representation of data coming from that particular group was not fairly there in the data set, and that's why the ultimate system that you have is biased. Yes, so there are applications of AI in almost all walks of life, whether it is your personal assistants on the smartphones, it is healthcare, it is the driverless cars, or any other walk of life.
Gentlemen, the producer has just indicated that we are approaching the finish line of today's race, and it has been an exciting discussion, and one couldn't really realize.
I saw you engrossed totally like in a class, when you have a good teacher. So it was a good class.
But what happened was we got so absorbed in that the basic purpose of our coming here,
Yeah.
I think that got neglected.
No, not at all. Not at all, Manojji. I think the whole thing is for our listeners, and
Absolutely,
we cannot so we thought, like, since today we have two experts from the AI field, Parasar ji and Chandramani ji. So I was thinking, why not we take the full, benefit of their presence in the program.
And I'm sure our listeners would have benefited as well.
Yes. Even for me also, it was a lot of new thing I have learned, and we also came to know about the Amrit Mahotsav of Independence Movement. So I think in our next episode will be totally on our letters. So all our listeners has to wait for our next interactive episode. We'll be announcing, though I have done all the segregation. We have already shortlisted the winners, but as a suspense today, we are not announcing it. We will announce in our next interactive episode. That will be in the 16th episode.
Fine, but Dr. Tyagi, you also had an instruction for our listeners to name episode numbers.
Yes. Most of because this time I have received majority of letters through the emails, but in email they have not mentioned the name of the episode or the episode number. Plus, many of them has given their mail ID is there, but their full address, postal address is not there. So suppose if we have to send you the prize, so we don't have your address. Through mail we cannot send it. So it is better you just relook all your mails again, send us again with your full postal address.
So listeners, kindly make a note of it. When you write next, do as Dr. Tyagi said, do mention the episode number, the episode name, including your full address.
Yeah.
That brings us to the conclusion of today's exciting session, the interactive session on our science serial Welcome Tomorrow. And I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Nakul Parasar, Dr. B. Tyagi and Chandramani Sharma ji for sparing time to come to the studios of All India Radio for the sake of our listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you.
Welcome tomorrow. You were listening to the 14th episode of the science serial produced by All India Radio in collaboration with Vigyan Prasar. In this episode, you heard a discussion on different aspects of artificial intelligence. The participants were Dr. Nakul Parasar, Director Vigyan Prasar, Dr. Beerendra Tyagi, Senior Scientist Vigyan Prasar, Shri Chandramani Sharma, Doctoral Researcher IIT Delhi. Manoj Mainkar was moderating that discussion. Do share your feedback on the program. You can mail your opinion by simple post to this address: Science Serial Welcome Tomorrow, Vigyan Prasar, A50 Institutional Area, Sector 62, Noida 201309. You can also write to us on our email ID radio@vigyanprasar.gov.in. Do write your full name and address. We will be back again with our next episode of the Science Serial Welcome Tomorrow, same day, same time next week. Till then, goodbye. This broadcast came to you from All India Radio Delhi.